we have to talk about Jimmy Fallon and JK being in the hospital. What's going on with that? And we need to get into people saying that they are scared of the conditions at the camp. And then we have people saying that JK has left the military. So hey Dumplings, it's Dave Desai. Let's get into it. There are a lot of rumors that JK has left the military and that he is currently on a break right now. One of the rumors kind of centers around this idea that if JK really did like Jimin and wanted to be with Jimin romantically, like was in a relationship with him, why would JK opt to not hang out or see Jimin when he's on a break? I think that this assumption is so beyond dumb. Now, if you've been watching this channel for any number of times, then you probably know that I don't typically try to defend when people say that the two members are in a relationship together. I typically opt for the side of not necessarily believing that that is true. However, some of these rumors are trying to make it seem like JK actually hates Jimin, wants Jimin gone, or thinks that he's annoying or whatever it is. And that is simply not true either. And at the end of the day, I'm trying to just break down what's actually going on rather than pushing further a rumor or hatred. This went on to say, well, if JK really likes Jimin, why, when they left the military, are they not together anymore? Did then JK go back to his own apartment and sleep with Songdae-eun? And no matter how you dice this, even if it's supposed to be a joke, this is clearly just not funny. Because if JK really didn't like Jimin, then JK would not have enlisted together in the buddy system with him. So clearly they like each other, or at the very least, like being with each other. Now, there's an obvious reason as to why JK would probably not want to see Jimin outside of the military, just simply because he sees Jimin every day. When you enlist in the buddy system, you are quite literally seeing that person all the time. You're seeing them, and people are seeing them together all the time. Likely in the same room, likely doing the same activities together all the time. So they definitely don't miss each other. Now, the whole rumor of JK and Song being together was even more far-fetched than the rumor with Jimin and Song being together. I mean, there's really no evidence to put the two together at all. Not that there was evidence to put any of them together at all. And it's so interesting to me that people make such a definitive statement and push this rumor based off of another rumor that isn't true. Like, the best way to make your facts invalid is to base your facts off of something that was invalid to begin with. I don't know how else to say that. I think these rumors are so silly, and they come from people who obviously don't have a job. And that is 100% something to be ashamed of. Not that you don't have a job, but that you are sitting at home all the time and just looking for silly rumors to make up. Like, there are people who don't have a job because they are disabled or they can't do something, but they still contribute more to society by being kind, loving, and many other things, which are way more than the people who are just sitting around making up rumors and saying really dumb things online. So when I say jobless, or I think when the internet says jobless, this is more so of what they're referring to rather than someone who just doesn't have a job for a specific reason. So in that context, don't become such a loser like that and actually do something more with your life. However, while that rumor is circulating, I do believe he is either on the tail end of his break or it's already over. I believe that JK does stream a little while ago, and I think he's either completely done with his break now or he's definitely near the end. And some people are not happy about that because they want him to be out of the military. And other people are just upset about the fact that they feel like he is not safe in the military. Recently, RM posted something on his story, and people were freaking out about this because they got to see and have an inside look on what goes on in the military. And just like everything else, it's one thing to know something, and it's another thing to actually see it and realize it. So while I'm sure people know that the military isn't going to be rainbows and lollipops and the soldiers aren't throwing pillows at each other, they don't actually know how strenuous some of these activities are or what it actually looks like. And I guess these are the privileges that we have, which is to be able to kind of just wake up in the morning and have a life that maybe isn't so graphic, let's say. The photos that RM posted on his story shows the soldiers shoveling snow and shoveling quite a bit of snow. I'm sure this is something that most people do have to deal with. I do live in an apartment, so fortunately I don't have to deal with that. So I actually don't know how difficult that is. But of course, a lot of people were very sad and were taken back to see him do some of these activities. Now, shoveling snow is not the hardest thing that a soldier would have to endure. And of course, I know I literally just said that I've never done it before, but obviously shoveling snow versus prepping for a war is going to be very different, and one is going to be more preferable than the other one. Also, prepping for a war, not something that everyone can do, but everyone has the physical ability to shovel snow. Now, again, I want to talk about this idea of the people seeing something versus knowing something. There are things that we don't see, but the boys do endure that are probably a lot more gut-wrenching if we were to actually physically see them than shoveling snow. And it's just something that we're going to have to face and realize. And we shouldn't be shocked when we see the photos come out about and then be upset or protest or riot because we feel like the boys are in danger. When these are listed activities that not only every soldier goes through, but it also was talked about when they enlisted. So when they first enlisted, there was this really wide conversation surrounding this idea of what activities that they're going to be doing, and it was widely talked about. So when it actively comes up, we definitely shouldn't be shocked that they have to do it, especially if we know how hard they can be. The boys have also been open about this idea that they don't want to be treated differently. They don't want to have an easy ticket. So they're going to take the harder challenges and really push forward and try to prevail for those challenges because that's what they wanted. I definitely admire their ability to feel this way because I think if a lot of people were to work as hard as the boys have been working, they would feel very burnt out or tired. Perhaps burnt out isn't the right word, but I believe it's more so that they feel like really exhausted and they want to rest and they don't want to do this thing that they've been doing, and that's why they feel burnt out. And I definitely wouldn't be surprised if being burnt out was actually on the table for them. Perhaps burnt out isn't the right word, but I believe definitely is close because you can just be exhausted and want to rest and not feel like you want to do this anymore, which it could be the feeling of burnt out. And I definitely wouldn't be surprised if burnt out was actually on the table for them. And I know that they had mentioned something like that before, but you don't always get over being burnt out. So I mean, once they say it, they probably still feel it, and unless something changes significantly. And they've always just been making music, right? Like that hasn't changed. But being in the military maybe has given them a new perspective on life. But one of the reasons why you could get burnt out, or one of the reasons why they could get burnt out, is just simply because it's tough to do the work that they've always done, work really hard, and then go online and really see negative comments. To me, negative comments are rarely ever upsetting when it's something like, I'm ugly or stupid, but when it almost feels like the people leaving the comments are just trying to misunderstand, but they're trying really hard to misunderstand. Like they are making that effort to misunderstand because it is actually harder to misunderstand than to actually just try to understand and have empathy. But it makes me actually a lot less upset when I see those comments because I see those comments exist within K-pop stars too. There has also been very rampant fake news, which as I said, has been very rampant. There's a lot of videos that have been talking about JK being in the hospital. And the rumor around this is that JK was beaten up by a soldier. Now, I've discussed this at length in a previous video. I'm not going to get too much into that backstory, but I'm going to get into what has happened as an update to this. So I have discussed previously that I don't believe that this is a real story, and JK is likely fine. But the rumor then goes that Jimmy Fallon is the one that visited JK at the hospital once he was admitted. And I find this so strange and have a lot of thoughts about this. Because why Jimmy Fallon? Is it because these people who are making up this story are aware that Jimmy Fallon and JK have a very good relationship and that just their names appearing together would cause great clickbait? I don't know. I actually have no freaking idea as to why someone would put Jimmy Fallon. It's just so random. It would be as if they said Doja Cat went to the hospital to see JK. And when I often see an American celebrity put next to a K-pop star, it's clear, at least to me, what they're trying to do from my perspective. I don't think they're using the Western celebrity for clout or anything like that. They obviously wouldn't have to, but I feel like it comes from a racist place where they feel like these K-pop stars are not going to be accepted or popular unless a Western star is giving them approval. So people watch these videos and people interact with them, and also people make them under the pretense of this idea that, oh, it looks like my favorite K-pop star hasn't made it because a big US figure has come out and shown support. And this bothers me in the same way that it bothers me when international stars start looking for Western approval. Because a lot of international stars are bigger, and number-wise, they're definitely bigger. But it's interesting because they're almost considered underground artists and not famous until they come to America. Isn't that so strange? They could be known by every single person outside of America, and they will still not be known as famous, even though America doesn't have the biggest population in the world. And the reverse of that is also true. People will say someone is mainstream famous and a global star when they're only known in the US. I just don't like it. And of course, I've mentioned this before, I don't feel like the hospital story is real. I think these things are not happening and that it's AI content that is pushing this story. But aside from all that, I really don't like that Jimmy Fallon's name is being brought into this story because it makes it seem like K-pop stars need Western approval. Let me know what you think. Make sure you check out Patreon for more videos. Link down below. Thanks for this lovely comment right here. Love you. Bye.